Step 3, you grow hard about what you want to be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Welcome to Tales from the Field. My name is Bradley Ball, and it is so good to have you with us. We are back and better than ever. Last week, we had an online migration SQL Server to Azure, how to set up log replay service LRS for your Azure SQL Managed instance by Mr. DBA Bulldog himself, Daniel Taylor. Then on Tuesday, we had our Azure Data Community Roundtable. On Wednesday, we released how to chat with your data in Microsoft Fabric using the semantic kernel and Azure OpenAI and ChatGPT. And then this Monday, Daniel Taylor was back again with online migration to SQL Server, Azure, how to set up log replay service. Oh, nope, I copied over the wrong one. Sorry, that he had backup transparency. I'm pulling it from memory now. But how to monitor backup transparency in Azure SQL Managed instance with extended events. Dan, you got to help me on the title there, buddy. My bad. That was a lot of words. Woo! So much.
Sorry, my friend, I couldn't find the unmute.
No problem. So much to see. You don't want to miss a thing. If this is your first time finding your way over to Tales from the Field, give us a like and give us a subscribe. We drop content every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Monday and Wednesday are our MS Tech Bits. Tuesday is our Azure Data Community Roundtable, and that's what you are here for. You want to interact with the show? It is so easy to do so. All you have to do is make a comment on the stream, and one of my amazing co-hosts will see it. They will add it to the stream, and you will be a part of the show. Also, it's a wonderful way to interact and ask questions. We love hearing from you. Before I go any further, let me introduce my amazing co-host. I am joined by Andreas Padilla, Daniel Taylor, Mr. Josh Luedeman, and what's cooler than ice cold? It's not just ice cold, it's Neeraj Jhaveri, my friend and yours. Welcome, Neeraj. Thank you so much, everybody, for being with us. There's a couple things we want to cover real quick. You're here for the Azure Data Community Roundtable. So one of the things we want to do is we want to make sure that you join the Azure Data Community. Make sure that you head over to Microsoft.com and go to the SQL Server community, but it's there for all of Azure data. Find a user group, find your local community, find an online virtual user group if there's none in your area. But there are literally hundreds of thousands of people that gather every single month as a part of this community, and you should be a part of them as well. And then after you find your community, one of the things I want to make sure you do, I want to make sure you get some free training. And we want you to head over to SQLSaturday.com, where you can find some of the best community events waiting to occur. You can see there's some in Victoria, Costa Rica, Oregon, Sao Paulo, Lima, Atlanta, so many different places. Joinesville is on the list. Wow. We've already got down to April 2024. And after you do that, where should you go next? Well, you should obviously go to datasaturday.com and find the different online events throughout the world. Now, there's one more that I want to add to the list, because normally we'd head straight over to LinkedIn. But I was talking with my good friend Ben Wiseman, and Ben said, hey, this Friday, we have got the new Stars of Data occurring. It's going to be Friday, the 27th of October. This conference came out of and was born out of Data Grillin. And what it is it's all new speakers. They've got a new speaker track, new Stars of Data. It's an opportunity for people to be able to get onto an online forum, go and support people, but also be there for the amazing content. You've got some MVPs and some Microsoft folks that are donating their time to be able to help speakers. So you definitely want to make sure and check this out. Go and give this, again, completely free training on a wonderful technical subject. You want to go check out and be a part of new Stars of Data. And of course, one last place, we would love it if you go over and join our Microsoft Fabric channel over on LinkedIn. The Microsoft Fabric product group is there. We're there. People are dropping new blogs, videos, links, questions all the time in the channel. It is a wonderful place to interact. I was going to say in the last couple of days, 15 days, we've added 122 new members. You can make it 123, maybe 124. We'd love to see you over there. All right. Whew, that was a lot. And speaking of a lot, great weekend last weekend. Andreas, what were you up to?
I was closer to Neeraj than I've ever been. I was in New York City, and it was ice baby. I'm telling you.
Yeah, icy cold. It's got to be, because I know we're down in Florida, and it's very pleasant, which means that everywhere else in the world, people are freezing their butts off right now. Yeah, Dan's given us a live
Look at
view
that,
of
Dan.
his backyard. Beautiful. And there's part of the reason he's sitting on the back porch is because it is so nice. Ooh, speaking of nice. I was gonna say I'm gonna get straight into it. Whenever I see this, it makes me happy, and it's oh so nice to have this amazing person present. It's Mr. Neeraj Jhaveri, and Neeraj, we've got boost efficiency and cost savings with new sustainability guidance in the cloud adoption framework.
Yep. So sustainability is a big thing right now at Microsoft also. Nice article by Tobias Zimmergren. He goes over the well-architected framework where it's showing you how to understand the sustainability part of it, and then the cloud adoption framework, which is called CAF, basically. I'm used to CAF, so that's how it's showing. It also talks about sustainability end-to-end. What when you migrate to Azure, what you are saving it, what's your framework that you are using it. So nicely, and also the strategies, right? It's also showing the cloud framework strategies, how it should be going on it. And then the reason I brought this up was I'm running a report, and that would show you how understand the sustainability, what carbon footprint you are saving it, what you are saving when you're migrating to Azure. So that is something that I found really cool, and something maybe we'll bring it up soon on the roundtable. So something to look out for it.
Very, very nice stuff. I love it. I love it. And speaking of that, I found this. It's someone that we haven't had on this show before. Dennis Torres. Denz is an MVP for Microsoft, and he's got something called Fabric Monday. And in Fabric Monday, he talks about organizing workspaces. And I found this to be really, really interesting because he goes through a bit of a presentation covering the conceptual nature of it, and then he shows how he actually organizes his workspace based off of some of the workflows, based off of what they want to do. Because remember, conceptually, we've got OneLake, and what does OneLake do? It makes it to where without having to copy your data, you've got it available in any surface you want to by being able to make a link to it. And by assigning particular permissions, you're able to access that data. And so I found it a really, really fascinating thing, especially as we're kind of building this plane as we're flying it, and a really nice way for us to be able to share this concept. Den's great job. Really nice stuff. Speaking of really nice stuff, I saw this and I was incredibly excited. First off, I mean, this guy has one of the best beards in the industry. Clearly, I'm talking about Mr. Daniel Taylor, and he's sharing something from SQL Grease from Franklin Yamamoto, who is a former co-worker of ours over at Public Supermarkets. I mean, really cool stuff. What do we got here, Dan?
So Franklin is outside of you, Brad, one of the smartest people I've ever met, to be very honest. He would sit in the rooms with us when we were having huge performance events, and he'd be like, "Did you think of this?" And he'd send it out. So I thought this was a cool, neat little article that he put together really quick for us here. And it wasn't something I really thought of, is if you had a static query, which sometimes we end up with inside our SQL servers, it happens, they get released into production. He goes in here to how to create a template to do a force plan so that it'll take this force plan and make it in such a way that if any of these hard-coded ones come in, it'll look like a dynamic query, and you can force a plan to get a good plan for it within your SQL Server instance or your VM, or this would probably even work inside an Azure SQL DB. So cool little article, little life hack there, little life hack.
Absolutely. Well, and speaking of cool, of course, I can't help but think of this person, even though we've already established Neeraj is ice cold. When I think of cool, I'm definitely thinking of Mr. Andreas Padilla, who's up next with automatic device provisioning with Azure IoT Hub using Mender.io.
I know, that's a mouthful right there, right? So great article. You know, it's still, it was published back in 2022. It still holds its weight in gold. I was just dealing with a customer down in South America, and they were leveraging Mender.io. Now, for those of you who don't know what Mender is, you have devices out there, and these devices have to be updated. Maybe the image, the image, the OS images need to be updated, packages need to be updated, certificates need to be updated. Well, Mender pairs really nicely with Azure IoT, and it helps you, gives you a little some all that granular control for managing the image updates, the package updates. And what's nice is if you pair it with the Azure IoT, you'll have one control spot. If you have devices out in the field and you're using Mender, it will actually add the device to Azure IoT, so you don't have to do that for you. You can control the digital twins, the device twins. My bad, the device twins from Mender. So there's a ton of great things right out of the box for leveraging Mender. They showcase in this blog how to pair it, how to get that working with Azure IoT Hub, and how to work with the device twins. So you can easily update your operating system, your packages from one spot.
Very nice. Very nice. And whenever I think of nice, of course, I think of one of my best friends, the one, the only Mr. Josh Luedeman, who is up next with Alex, the analyst, database versus data warehouse versus data lake. What is the difference? And
if
Josh,
I would remember to unmute, and it happens once a quarter on the show, and everybody keeps track. I get tweets and
got me on the introduction
like
last week. You're good, man.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying I'm ticking off this quarter, and I'm ticking it off early. It's first month of the quarter, so knock it out now. Then I'm good through Christmas. No, Alex has a great video here, and I wanted to share it because this is a common question, especially with, that we get from customers looking to modernize their data in, their data environment, data state, data infrastructure, whatever fancy term you put on it. But he actually walks through, really what customers are looking to know these days, which is the difference between their, whether it's a data warehouse, a database, or just a data lake. And really helps you get through all those pieces. It's a great video. I highly recommend it because he actually goes through use cases, not just structure and, things like that. So it's a great, great video, and it's a quick one, just 5 minutes. So check it out. It's got a lot of other great content too. Yeah.
That's a great one for you, Josh, because you can now learn what a database actually is.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because I'm a manager. I don't know.
Wow. I was going to say, Dan just lit a Molotov cocktail from the lower level and threw it up top, trying to catch your head on fire. Wow.
I'm just saying that's, I haven't done the review yet. So, comments can be changed.
That's right, Dan. Poor attitude. Who doesn't have a poor attitude? Who has an amazing attitude and an even better smile? Of course, I'm talking about my friend and yours, Mr. Neeraj Jhaveri, who's up next with OneLake File Explorer, easy access to open workspace and items online, by Elizabeth Oldga. And Elizabeth's a part of the Microsoft Fabric PG that we've been working with, and she owns like that data lake area or the OneLake area. Great stuff. What do we got here, Neeraj?
So one same as accessing your Fabric through accessing your OneLake using your Fabric portal. Now, it was already introduced, but now officially it's introduced version 1.0.1.00, where you can download this up from this article. It's like a Windows Explorer, right? You can go into your Windows Explorer and see whatever things are there in your OneLake. Same way. The way you use your Windows Explorer so far, you can use the OneLake, whatever things are in there. Yep, right there. And the beauty of it is you can also now access logs under it. So if you go at the bottom of it, it is showing you how to go and click on view logs online. So whatever your users are capturing it up, whatever the people are doing through thing, you can open up the logs, give you logs directly, say who's accessed it up, who has access to it. All sorts of logs that you definitely want to look at it. It can be done through the Windows Explorer or the OneLake Explorer thing.
No, very nice, very nice. And in the last video that I did on the semantic kernel, one of the things I did was I was using that in earnest, and I've been using that quite a bit because especially when you've got these really small files to be able to get up there, we showed in this first semantic kernel video, how to be able to get it up there with its pipeline. But it's like, I don't want to do that. That's a lot of work for me to be able to get 2 files up and online, put it in Azure storage, create a data pipeline, run the data pipeline. So much easier just to go over to my OneLake, create a folder, drag and drop, edit them inside of those folders. So that way, if I need to make an edit, I'm editing it, and then my data is live up in OneLake. As a matter of fact, I changed the parameters, the prompt engineering parameters, saved it, and then clicked the refresh button. And by the time I went up there and I reran my Spark command, I'd already pointed in that direction. It just read it, and it immediately began utilizing it. So, I mean, it's unbelievably fast.
And it's easy, right? I mean, it's very easy to use. Because you're so used to your Windows Explorer, it makes it very easy.
Oh, exactly. It's something that we've all grown very accustomed to, especially with OneDrive. It's almost seamless to us now. And it's fascinating to me that we've got that level of access with within OneLake. So speaking of something that I thought was absolutely fascinating, Mr. Johnny Winter had your new action hero, What is Data Activator? And I love it because you know me, I love the movies, and he sets it up like a movie. The very first paragraph is the trailer. It activates data, right? I'm not even sure that's a thing. But anyway, he goes through and he talks about how that we use this, not just data activator, but we talk about data reflex. And I love the definition: an action that is performed without conscious thought as a response to a stimulus. And so you can create a reflex. You have your reflex within data activator that you set up on your data to be able to trigger an event. And what I love is he actually goes through the streaming data set for Yellow Taxi. And he shows how you set up an event, and he specifically wants to set one up whenever there's 4 people in a taxi cab because he wants to celebrate it. He does lights, camera, action, sends the email, and gets the email as well. Now, you could set this on cells. You could set this on so many different meaningful things that are key performance items, could be real-time streaming information as well. So a lot of cool stuff and ways that we can use Data Activator. And I thought that was a very ingenious way that Johnny Winter had shown it.
Yeah,
Josh,
and Brad, I was going to say, we've talked about this before, Brad. Data Activator for me, I know there's folks, especially in this group, it's kind of divided. Some folks are OneDrive, data engineering, whatever. I'm Data Activator all day, twice on Sundays. There's just so much good stuff going on with that.
Absolutely.
So many new opportunities.
I was going to say, talk about, great new stuff that I'm excited to hear about. I was really excited when I saw this next link, and of course is by the one and only Mr. Daniel Taylor. Fabric Lakehouse loading using data pipelines and notebooks inspired by MS end-to-end tutorials. And this is by Mr. Andy Cutler.
Yeah, and I got to get the Reflex by Duran Duran out of my head now. I don't know if y'all saw me dancing, but all of a sudden I was like, the Reflex. So anyhow, I digress. Totally enjoyed this article by Andy. People learn in many different ways, and Andy takes our end-to-end scenarios and puts them here in a clear tutorial of his perspective and his guidance walking through this. So definitely recommend this. I went through this the same way he did here, and I found it he put the correct verbs, he could put the correct verbiage around it in the words. So I really enjoyed this article by Andy. So if you're new to our notebooks and our data pipelines, and you want to do an end-to-end tutorial and you don't want to read Microsoft documentation, this is a great article for you to go to.
Very nice stuff. All right, so up next, of course, speaking of very nice, who do I have? I have the very nice Mr. Andreas Padilla with exploring various Lakehouse streaming patterns with Microsoft Fabric.
Ooh, I think you put out a video recently, something like this, right, Brad?
Yeah, absolutely. I've got like 3 different. I've been loving playing around with the real-time streaming, and we've got the one specifically for IIS. It was based off a blog, but we went in and we found all the fun little nuances of configuring the stream event engine. And then there was one part where we had a user say, hey, can you output this instead of to a KQL database? Can you do it to a Lakehouse? And I demoed specifically how we could change the output to a Lakehouse, very easily change it to a Lakehouse. But
man,
no, I love this stuff. Go for it, Andreas. What do we got
great,
here?
This is to add on to that awesome video that Brad on. A great article by Sam Panda. Sam kudos to you over in India. Sam's a colleague of ours, and we love, mixing it up with him. But what I love about his article here is that he takes us so that he helps us put on our architectural hats. There's great articles out there. I've done some good reading on real-time analytics in Fabric. There's articles that explain what are the major components. You have KQL, you have Acousto, you have Power BI. What are the major pieces that you're going to find in Fabric for doing real-time analytics? But what I love about Sam's article is he breaks it down into the three most common patterns: ingesting with event streams, using structured streaming, and what if you're ingesting a ton of small files as quickly as possible? If landing those small files in storage in a Storage Explorer storage account, and then having Fabric ingest those automatically as they land in there. He goes through all of them. He also has a video showcasing all the three different patterns. If you want no code, stick to event streams. If you want to do notebook way of doing things, try structured streaming. Both, and last but not least, obviously, a little tweak on the structured streaming, which is if we were to land files in a storage account and use checkpointing, to ingest those files and make sure that we don't lose our spot, because you're going to ingest them. And then maybe the service comes down for any type of reason, probably won't, but you want to checkpoint and say, oh, yeah, I already ingested that file. He breaks it down nice and easy for us. These are the three most common patterns you're going to encounter in streaming, in real-time analytics within Fabric.
Very nice. Excellent. I love it. And I found it absolutely fascinating. I love adding on to that because real-time streaming is such a cool thing, especially because I feel like it really helps highlight the power of Cousteau. And KQL databases is essentially Cousteau, and it is a fascinating thing. Talking about fascinating, I looked at this one, and this piqued my interest so much. And of course, it is brought to you by the infamously interesting Mr. Josh Luedeman. It is how to capture a TCP dump from Azure Databricks notebooks.
Yeah, so I think everybody on the show knows me well enough to, with some of the links I select, I don't just dabble in data. I also look at the operational side of trying to keep things running. And one of the things that I've had conversations with customers and folks in the community about is this specific issue where, obviously to minimize costs, Databricks clusters don't exactly log, and store to a log by default, any of the networking logs and things like that. This actually gives you, the information you need to actually turn that on within your Databricks cluster when you're trying to nail down networking issues. Now, let me be very clear. Don't turn this on because you like looking at logs, right? Networking logs are notoriously long, and you're going to be storing a lot of information. However, this would be something interesting to have, turn it on if you're experiencing regular issues, sure. But if you're not having issues, this would be something maybe turn on, run for a little bit, see what's going on, turn it off. But be very careful with it. But it's a great article, again, to dive into some of those issues that you may be having. Maybe if you're having networking issues or think you are, this is a great tool to use to dive further into that.
Excellent. Very, very, very nice work.
Yep.
Andreas had to run. So Andreas, thank you so much for the time that you were able to spend with us today. And I am going to move us straight along to the one, the only Mr. Neeraj Jhaveri with set activity state to comment out part of the pipeline. Neeraj, what do we got going on here?
So Data Factory is always coming up with innovative things. And one of the new things that they've introduced right now is activity state. What usually it does is, usually if you don't want a pipeline to be running, you'll have to either take it out or delete it out, that part of it. What this does is you can make it a deactivating or a reactivating it up. You can comment a part of a portion of your pipelines that you don't want to run for a particular day or for some reason. She has given a couple of use cases also when to not to do this and when to do it. But if something went wrong and you don't want to run a part of your activity, but you don't want to delete your pipeline, you can just comment it out and it would not run that out. And that part can be reactivated up as soon as you're ready to do it up. Something that is cool, helps developers a lot, just because if you're a developer, I mean, you don't want to redo the whole thing again and again. Then this way you can just comment it out. If the data is wrong or something, you can just do it up. And that's how, yep, thanks, Brad, for highlighting up. You can just go into a pipeline, deactivate the thing, and comment out the code and make it deactivate at that point of time. And she has a couple of use cases also in that, so you can look at it up.
That is fascinating. I really, really enjoyed that. As a matter of fact, there was specifically something just like that a customer was looking how to do, and we found a way to be able to do it. But this makes it so much easier. And yeah, Dan, just kind of like the good old SSIS days. It's interesting to see the product evolve. But that's the thing, is we need it to be super user friendly, especially if we're going to be in a SaaS application. Love the work that's being done here. Speaking of, I found this just a really fascinating blog from Data Mozart. Of course, this is Nikolai Iliak, who's a data platform MVP. He's been in the community for a long time, just doing great work. And this is augmenting Gold Layer with Semantic Link and Spark SQL in Microsoft Fabric. And what I love is he talked about how he was at the Power Platform Conference when it was running just a couple weeks ago. He looked at this, he wanted to understand specifically the use case for it, and then he was looking at introducing Semantic Link. And one of the things I love was disclaimer number 2, because I think this will tug at a lot of people's hearts who are learning. I'm a SQL guy, by no means a Python expert, so if you're a Python ninja, please be polite and don't laugh at my Python code in the article, right? I completely understand. I feel like I masquerade a lot when I have to do developer work, but I know I am much more of a data person in this world. And so what he does is he walks through this, shows some of the great things that we can do by invoking the semantic link. And it's important to remember, I'm saying this, semantic link, semantic kernel, 2 separate things. So that was another thing. I kept seeing everybody post about semantic link, and I was going to see what cool stuff they were doing with the semantic kernel. And I went, oh, no, 2 separate things. And what semantic link does is it allows you to be able to use T-SQL to go against the data model that you have. But it also allows you to be able to do DAX as well and adjust the level of granularity. And so he goes through, he shows some of these things, some of the work that he can do with this. I found it to be absolutely fascinating. But if you're looking for the tool that people are using when they're like, oh, I can query DAX, I can, do magic signs DAX and then run a DAX query against my data model. Well, it's got to be a direct link data model, but this is what they're using, semantic link. So this is going to be some fun stuff that I need to dig in on. And I was really excited to see it. Speaking of something that made me excited, I saw this entry, and it's always a good time when Mr. Daniel Taylor starts talking about all the holograms maintenance plans. But this was from Josephine Bush, SQL Kitty, how to be able to run that with Azure Runbooks and Terraform. Dan, walk me through this.
Absolutely incredible article from end to end. Josephine Branch Bush walks us through how to use Ola hologram scripts. And y'all know I love Ola hologram scripts. It's about ease of deployment, right? Those scripts have been around. They're phenomenal. I run into a lot of customers that utilize Terraform. I'm not a Terraform expert by any means. Heck, I'm an amateur when it comes to Terraform. But this article here explains it in such a way that I want to now go deploy some Terraform and try and utilize it to have Ola hologram scripts deployed via a notebook. So a whole nother way outside of like, I'll use Azure Data Factory. But this really inspired me. I was like, oh, you know what? We could use notebooks. Great article, very detailed from end to end. And there's actually a GitHub repo that you can, SQL Kitty has put out here for us. So go out there and read this, folks. This is really amazing, the level of detail. And if you're using Azure SQL DB within your environment and you want to run maintenance, here you go. And you don't want to run ADF. Yep,
And down here at the bottom, here's the GitHub repo. You need to be able to get that code. Sorry, Dan, I was having such a good time listening to what you were saying and listening to your points that I forgot to scroll down the article. It was like I had to snap back in myself and be like, Brad, you're in charge of this. Scroll down. Speaking of someone who's always large and in charge, of course, I'm talking about, well, actually, he's a lot smaller nowadays, Mr. Josh Luedeman, with Introduction to Federated Learning in Federated Edge AI Use Cases and Challenges.
Yeah, so jumped out of my normal comfort zone a little bit with this one, but it kind of tugs at my other heartstring, which I really over tugged at last week with, Hadoop and distributed data. But this takes it and uses it in the machine learning space. So it's actually distributing the actual learning steps for models to multiple machines. So it's federating the actual learning, but it's doing it in a secure way without sharing the data, which you would think is, in most machine learning models, is secure data, not stuff that you want to kind of send around willy-nilly. So this, using this article, it kind of goes through, talks through the privacy concerns, all that sort of thing, but actually gets you into understanding what it was. When I saw this, I was like, oh, this kind of, tugs at that a little bit with distributed, execution engines like Hadoop. I'm like, oh, from a machine learning perspective, I like it.
Very nice. Very, very nice. Excellent. All right. So we are at the point in time where we need to wrap it up. Nice and efficient today. A couple things that we want people to keep in mind is, again, at the top of the show, we talked about it. It's this Friday. Go check out New Stars of Data. It's a wonderful, wonderful effort to help be able to grow new speakers within the community. But these speakers have backing of experts in the community who are happy to help them. And so this is going to be a wonderful day of learning for you. So you're doing a mitzvah here by doing two things at once. Go out and participate in this. Hop online and give feedback if you're sitting in the session. Help people get better. Josh, give it to me quickly, but we're less than a month away. Where are we going to be in that week before Thanksgiving?
We are going to be at the beautiful Lowe's Royal Pacific Resort on the grounds of Universal Studios Orlando for the informative, fun, informational, I already said informative crap, live 360 the week before Thanksgiving.
Well, and so we're going to be there for the excellent. There you go. Another one.
Yeah, it's so informative. I dropped it twice. Just saying.
Well, keep
held up 3 fingers. I mean, because
four conferences in one. We got AI, we got data, we got developers, we got SharePoint, Microsoft Office, all kinds of great stuff. We are going to be there as part of the SQL track, as part of the AI track. We have a full pre-conference seminar with myself, Neeraj, Josh, Dan, also Buck Woody from the Microsoft product group, from the SQL Server product group, and Bradley Schatt from the Fabric Cat product group will be joining us as we deliver a full day of modern analytics, an introduction to Microsoft Fabric. We're going to have hands-on labs and exercises, 18 days to go. So many wonderful things. You don't want to miss this. And of course, as Josh was saying, we're right next to the Universal theme park the week before Thanksgiving. What better way to kick off vacation by going to a conference, learn and bring your family, go enjoy the theme parks at night, and then you head home. And the next week, you enjoy a wonderful Thanksgiving dinner with friends and family. I mean, that just sounds like 2 weeks of heaven. You want to kick it off with us. Anything else I'm forgetting?
No, yeah, I think you hit it all. But
all right.
I think I want folks to be aware that I need y'all to keep these guys honest, this team honest, because I'm going to be on vacation next 2 weeks. So chat them up, folks. Chat them up.
He just wants to brag. He's bragging.
Yeah, he did. I know. Dan, look at me. I'm going on vacation. I'm so awesome. All right. All right. Goodbye, everybody. Take care of one another. We appreciate you hanging with us. Thank you so much.
Yep. Bye.